You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drakewing Gaming and 70 Mounts Wood of the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of A Fall from Grace. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you were up, and let's go. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Cedric noticed a great envy that the bear even had a real mirror propped up against the tent's fabric. Ridley was sitting on a rickety chair facing the glass with what happened to be a blonde wig in his hands. Come in, Cedric. Are you feeling all right? Aye. I'm sorry I lost my temper just now. No need to apologize. I deal with Blake Brigham on a daily basis. Did you talk things through with Vic? It's all good now, and I'm ready to come along with you. Splendid. Now let me just explain how we're planning to go about this. Victor and Blake will be donning their masks and hiding as we wait for a carriage to pass by. However, you and I will be the ones putting on a bit of an act. He spun around, finally facing Cedric instead of the coyote's reflection. I see you've carefully combed your hair. Unfortunately, you're going to have to mess it up again. The more unkempt, the better. You'll be lying on the ground, feigning being wounded after being attacked by bandits, whilst I will be at your side, posing as a fellow traveler, calling for help. Our victims will come to a halt, and at least one of them will dismount from their vehicle. As they lean forward to pick you up, that's when Vic and Blake will appear, and I will reveal whose side I'm actually on. That's pretty ingenious, I've got to admit. And all I'm asking of you is to lie down for a while. What could be better? Cedric laughed as a dumb thought crossed his mind. You should have kept me asleep and just carried me there in a stretcher. Here now, I didn't take you for such a slob, Ced. The coyote playfully waved off the remark. I'm going to have to get your clothes messed up and dirty if we want to go through with our little act. I'll clean everything once we get back here, of course. I'm fine with whatever you want to do, Red. You know I trust you. The sun bear picked up a thick hairbrush and a bowl containing a pale earth-colored powder, then walked over to Cedric. He began to unevenly dirty the coyote's jacket and breeches, close to the tent's exit so as to not get any powder on any other objects inside. And trust is a strong word, lad. Never trust a bandit. In fact, I hardly trust you. Who knows what nefarious secrets lie behind that sweet, innocent-looking face of yours? He affectionately ruffled the coyote's hair as a finishing touch, then threw some powder on his own outfit and walked back to his chair, fitting the wig, some flasks, and a small mirror into a modest sack he slipped around his left shoulder. Off we go! As they joined their other two companions, Victor couldn't help but smile at Cedric's disheveled appearance. What did you do to him, Red? Oh, hush! We've been over this plan, is all. We've been over this plan, is all. The walk to Plowman's Hill was longer than Cedric had expected, as said hill was located in quite a remote spot between two valleys, each home to a couple of plain-looking towns. It looked like a big challenge for anyone to climb, both on foot and by carriage. It was steep with a lonely, almost overgrown narrow path. Once the bandits reached the hilltop, Cedric spoke to Ridley after catching his breath. If his disheveled look hadn't been convincing earlier, it certainly was now. So why on earth would anyone use this path? It doesn't look like this road leads anywhere important. It's a shortcut if you're heading to Castle Hillsford. It saves you over half an hour's trip compared to the roads. Then, once you're in town, it's a pleasant, straightforward journey to larger southern towns and eventually the sea. That's interesting. So you're saying there's a good chance we'll come across some wealthy travelers? Definitely. You need to study the roads in this area, kid. Learn to spot which places you can use to your advantage. The coyote nodded. He'd make a point of doing so in the coming days. Now, let's get off the path. There's a good vantage point a few feet away. You can see the whole valley, including anyone approaching the hill from there. As they made their way to the spot the bear had mentioned, Cedric spoke up again. Wait, you mentioned Hillsford. I almost forgot. Did V or Dion tell you about the masquerade ball we heard of? The folks we were listening to at the pub mentioned a big manor outside the town. Don't worry, darling. We've already told them everything. I know just the estate those two were referring to. Are you familiar with it at all, Ced? No, I've never actually been there myself. No matter. We've all agreed on planning a big heist during that event. But it did take much to convince Dion. That's the sort of camp shit he'd die for. As if you wouldn't love to be there regardless of a planned heist or not. We all love our theatrics. It's why we joined the group. Aye, but he's still the biggest poofter out of all of us. It takes one to know one. Please, I don't want to be stuck here with your interminable banter, you two. Ridley rolled his eyes, sitting down on a fallen tree trunk covered in foliage. He opened his sack and pulled at the blonde wig the coyote had noticed earlier, pulling it over his naturally dark hair and fixing it in place. The Doberman chuckled. That thing does not suit you at all. This isn't a beauty contest, bitch. He turned to address Cedric again. I'm sorry, he looks like a witcher now. I'm sorry, Ced. I keep forgetting I should explain the method behind this madness. Rob people without a mask more than a couple times, and there's a chance one of them might recognize you. Hence the wig. Yeah, right. What are the odds? Rather high, I'd have you know, punk. But a good old stabbing can't settle. Stab enough people and you won't have anyone left to rob. The sun bear proceeded to glue some smaller strands of hair to his cheeks and chin with the contents of one of the flasks he carried with him. It was almost as if the coyote was observing an actor gearing up behind the stage, awaiting his entrance, and here he'd assumed Dion was the dramatic one. You needn't worry about it, though, Ced. You're still new to the highwayman's trade, though I'm sure one day you'll be infamous the country over. I told the kid I can already picture the wanted signs, can't I? Didn't I? I see a carriage! Victor raised his voice, interrupting the two. The bear rushed over to observe the distant vehicle the fox was pointing at. There, at the foot of the hill. Ridley smiled, rubbing his gloved hands eagerly. Brilliant. Now we put our plan into action. Victor, you stay here and don your mask. Blake, do the same, but wait on the other side of the road. Move it, move it! A spark of excitement was clearly visible in the bear's eyes. Cedric, follow me. After the long and arduous climb, the carriage and its 4 occupants reached the hilltop. Are you quite all right, Stuart? The stag, who had agreed to be the honorary coachman for the day's trip, replied from his seat. Never better. The girls might need a few minutes to gather their strength, so you should rather expect the pace to slow down for a while. Another voice from within the vehicle made itself known. You really should have had my Harry drive those horses today, you know. Nonsense. I didn't want to bother him. It's what I pay a conspicuous amount of money to do. Would you all have your servants lazing about in the sun like Italian workmen instead of doing their jobs? Racism. Oh, don't start this again, you two. Greg, you know I'm lenient toward the common folk, and I wanted the 4 of us to get away together for the day, all by ourselves for a change. Let Stu be, you know he's right. We'll all get to enjoy our time by the seaside, not to mention it will do Helen a lot of good. You know the doctor told her to get away somewhere sunny more often. I suggest a location in India. You won't find any sun in Britain. As the other nobles kept up their discussion, Stuart noticed an odd shape on the pathway about 30 feet away. When he first sighted it, he had assumed it was a large rock, but now he could clearly make out the shape of a young man lying with his back facing them, coupled with another figure crouched nearby. What the devil? What is it, Stu? I can see a couple of fellows on the road in front of us. One of them seems to be unconscious. The second figure took notice of the carriage and called out as he stood up. Help! Please help! The carriage reached the 2 strangers. The bear's utterly disheveled look and the pure, unbridled terror in his eyes filled Stuart with dread. Are you all right, my good man? What on earth happened? Oh, thank God you're here, sir. The bear was so upset he could hardly speak between sobs. He was now being observed by all the passengers who had begun peeping out the window with the curtains pulled back once curiosity had got the better of them. We were attacked! Robbed! My friend here, he tried to escape and they... More heart-wrenching sobs followed these words. He's wounded, please, help us! The stag jumped down from his seat and opened the vehicle's door, addressing the other male passenger. Greg, come and assist me. These fellows were attacked by bandits and one of them is unconscious. Can we do anything to help? Please stay inside, ladies. It will be just a moment. Oh, thank you. I can't thank you enough. We need to get him to the closest town. He needs urgent help. You're a godsend, all of you. The bear rushed back to his companion, positioning himself that he was the only one facing him as the 2 nobles followed after, still merely being able to observe the canine figure from the rear. Stuart bent down on his knees, the owl following suit. He's still breathing, thank heavens. Let's roll him over. I'll pick him up by the shoulders. You hold his feet. Gregory nodded. We need to move swiftly. He might not have much time left. A loud click resonated just above them. Actually, I wouldn't move at all if I were you. two raised their heads only to see Ridley staring back at them, a pistol in his right hand pointed in their direction. With an ominous rustling of leaves, Blake and Victor emerged from the bushes surrounding the carriage. One of the women called out from within, noticing the unexpected silence. "Is everything all right? Stu?" "Oh, Jesus." This followed by a shriek as Blake grabbed the spaniel, clapping a hand over her mouth and dragging her from the vehicle. Hearing the commotion, Stuart tempted fate by crying out, "Bandits! Run for your lives!" He was sent toppling over, gasping for air as Ridley landed a powerful kick to his stomach. "So, we found today's budding hero. Aren't you a brave one?" Victor opened the door on the opposite side of the carriage, as its last occupant gazed on him in terror. "Come on, my pretty. I won't have to drag you out like your friend, will I?" Helen shook her head. She then did as she was told, joining her companions as the bandits surrounded them. Ridley nudged Cedric with his foot, signaling the coyote could now stand up to join them. As he did so, the four nobles looked on with dismay, realizing at last how every single detail had been set up. "Listen to me, all of you. Now that we've firmly established there is no real medical emergency occurring, we're here to carry out an exchange. I'll make sure this is very simple. You hand us over all your valuables and you get to walk home alive. You have a chance to do so voluntarily. Personally, I'd comply." The bear was feigning an icy, matter-of-fact tone, going through his lines as if he'd done this a million times before. However, part of him also seemed to be relishing every moment, every dramatic pause, and every look of fear on his victims' faces, making this into some sort of twisted game. His speech also had a veneer of false courtesy, which added to the terrifying feeling that standing before them was an experienced bandit capable of absolutely anything if angered. "Afterwards, we'll search you one by one. That's because many of your kind fail to actually hand over everything, which is a real shame. 'Cause that's when things will get very ugly for the lot of you. Also, it is a waste of time, quite frankly, and the longer you make me wait, the less merciful I will be." He paused for dramatic effect, tilting his head in Cedric's direction and giving him a subtle wink. This was incredibly jarring, considering the bear's terrifying presence and unquestionably convincing mannerisms. Cedric now understood the reason Victor showered Ridley with praise when it came to this stuff. Alright, let me crack this one open. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. "You scoundrels! You're the bandits the guards have been searching for these last few weeks, aren't you? Stuart, please don't make this worse. You'll pay for your wrongdoings, mark my words." Victor rested his right hand on the stag's head, pressing down forcefully as he spoke. "You really should listen to your friend's advice and keep quiet, mate." "Or what? I'm not afraid of you, vermin. The gallows are where you all belong." A loud shot rang out. Smoke rising from the ground mere inches away from the kneeling stag. Almost everyone jumped at the sudden noise, convinced one of their four nobles had just been killed. The horses began to writhe, startled at the sound. Victor ran up to them to try to keep them steady without risking them running off. He pulled the reins on one of the two, lowering its head close to its own and speaking to it softly to calm it down. He then gestured at Cedric to come help with the other. However, Ridley had simply fired a warning shot in Stuart's direction, narrowly avoiding him with unnerving precision. The shot served its purpose, as the stag's moment of performative heroism was cut short. "Enough! Follow my orders and hand over your valuables as fast as you can." Alright, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!